Shorty Supercoach, going to take a look at all the relevant ruckman today. We've taken a look at the defenders and the mids. So obviously this one will be a little bit of a shorter video with obviously, not as many ruckmen, but also far less options really. But we start at the very top. Grundy, we should absolutely lock him. 64% of sides says exactly that. I don't have to talk you into that one. Max Gawn, his ownership has gone down a touch. It started about 40-odd%, and with that injury during the pre-season and also the development of English and Jacobs has seen a few people just maybe think, all right, I'm not going to go the two-pronged ruck attack with the absolute dominant two. I might just wait to get Gawn at some other stage, which, look, I can understand starting both, but clearly I've taken the option, as I have all pre-season. I've had English in there from the start, so that's just my opinion. Goldstein, I think he's just far too pricey. I mean, had a fantastic season last year. He'll still be really good, but he's getting another year older. I didn't anticipate the year he had last year, to be fair, but just far too risky. Far too risky, I think. Rowan Marshall, I'm a big no on, unfortunately. I just think with Ryder there, he's in 10% of size, but with Ryder joining him, I think he's definitely going to share that ruck load, and he'll still have games where he's really, really influential, but there are going to be games where Ryder gets a bit more exposure. Ryder's the more dominant ruck on the day, and there'll be times where Marshall just sits a little bit cold in the forward line. I just think to spend like 600k, I reckon it's too risky in my opinion, but he seems to be a bit of a favourite for some. And Reilly O'Brien, he's reasonably priced, and the thing with O'Brien, I just feel like he's really honest. He's honest as the day is long, he's really solid, and that's cool, that's good. But I'm a little bit concerned that at 517,000, he's not going to make you much coin, and he's not going to be a keeper either. I mean, when picking your rucks, I think you've just got to make the decision. I want to end up with Gawn and Grundy at some stage, so pick one of them to start with, if that's the way you're going, just one. And then who's next? Who's going to be the stepping stone? And I feel as if the stepping stone should be under 500k, just to really maximise that decision to save some coin. But O'Brien, I've definitely seen him in quite a few sides, but he's not for me. But and then we start to get to that stage where you do get those mid-price guys. Nic Nat, he's just dominant when he's on the ground. He just scores when he's out there. The question mark is his body. I've got too many concerns about him because I just feel like the body has let him down so many times before, and I don't see that changing, so I feel as if there's a lot of risk, and there will be the option that he gets rested at times. So while he has been pretty impressive through the pre-season, personally, I prefer English, who's right there. He's in 8% of sides. He's a touch cheaper, but I think he will really step up to the plate. And like Nic Nat's been there, done that. He's been a star of the competition. His body's starting to let him down a bit. Where I feel like English is that next generation star. He's about to get right on the curve in that upward trend. So I'm a massive fan. He just physically, he looks ready. He used to be like a beanpole, where now he looks big, and he showed what he can do in the pracky game. Really dominant performance, scored about 120, and he's going to be the main man in the ruck for the Dogs, and that's good enough for me. I think he's in for a really good season. As you guys know with these videos, I talk about, by relevant, I mean sort of in at least 3% of sides, unless someone else sort of captures my attention. Sam Jacobs, 17% of sides. He's been a bit of a buzz guy for the pre-season, I reckon. We've seen him produce some good scores, some really solid scores, and look, if he is rucking solo, doing most of the workload for the Giants, I think you're going to see some solid numbers, because that's what he does. He's a workman in there. He just gathers the hit outs, enough possessions to keep you happy. So I just prefer the English selection. I really do think Jacobs is very close to the end of his career, and that worries me a touch. whether that be the body breaking down, whether that be coming up against some of the better rucks in the competition, then how he fares, because he's only taken on Naismith and was it a couple of young Tigers? Is that who they had in the second one, I think? So he scored all right, but he hasn't really been up against much. So I've got concerns. I talk about English beginning the upward trend. I think Jacobs is most definitely coming down the other side. So it's a no from me, but I understand the interest. Jon Patton, definitely not. He's not super cheap. And look, he's a key forward. So yeah, he'll have days where he probably kicks 4 and he looks great, scores a ton, but he'll have days where he scores 30 or 40. So definitely not for me. And to be honest, Naismith is in there. I understand the thinking there because he has looked pretty damn good at times. It's not for me because he's missed just a stack of footy. He's hardly played for a couple of years. But he is cheap as chips. And if you're just not sold on any of those other guys I've spoken about, and you're like, well, I'm not sold on any of them, so I'll just save the most amount of coin that I can. You know, he looks like he'll shoulder the ruck load for the Swans, and if he stays fit at 250k, he's going to be a good selection. He'll make you money. But out of all the fellas I've mentioned with a touch of injury worry, you know, he's clearly got the biggest. Otherwise, that pretty much sums it up. Jackson's a rookie. I wouldn't be selecting him, in my opinion. And Cameron, if he gets a game call, he'll be in. But the rucks are really just about, if you're going one of Gawn or Grundy, who is going to go alongside them. And I think it's got to be Nic Nat, Jacobs or English, in my opinion. Obviously, I favour English. But you can mount a case for all of them. But just make sure that they're rucking solo, make sure they're fit and looking good, and we've seen those guys put forward pretty good cases, so we've got some decisions to make. But I'm a big advocate for English. I've made that pretty clear throughout the pre-season. Nic Nat's body generally, it really does worry me. It really does. To start him, it concerns me. So Jacobs, I would be more inclined, if I was ranking them, it'd be English, Jacobs, Nic Nat. But it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. And then there's a lot of you out there who just say, well, bugger this discussion, I'll just start Grundy and Gawn. Save me thinking about it throughout the pre-season, or throughout the season, which I understand too. But I'll be back soon. We'll have a look at the forwards, and there'll be stacks of videos leading up to round 1. Cheers.